Welcome to the Legion of Impact, where our goal is to bring you tactical ideas, insights, and meaningful conversations to help you build a life that you're proud of and positively impact the world. Now for your host, Anthony Hamilton.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Legion of Impact. My name is Anthony. I'm here with Avery, and it's kind of been a journey getting this thing going again. Just having everything virtually. We got a new dude that we're working on kind of coordinating schedules to get on the podcast as well and make him a regular. Just kind of recently joined us in real estate, so trying to get that going. And I'm thinking, I don't know, Avery, tell me what you think, but I'm thinking with the addition of him coming onto the podcast whenever we can coordinate our schedules properly, I'm thinking it'd be cool to kind of go on a series of what maybe he's learning as a new agent or maybe new into business in general, and kind of go down that rabbit hole, if you will.
Yeah, it's sort of like a mentorship podcast, essentially. I feel like that would help a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I think something like that, but then also
on the podcast,
yeah,
coach to where we might be at,
right?
And then, yeah, that might be good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking. I mean, not only that, but also just so people can kind of. Who might also be new in any business, right? Because there's a lot of correlations from a real estate business to a lot of other businesses. There's a lot of similarities, and I think somebody that I don't know is new in any other business could probably take something away, whether it's marketing or whether it's just grind or the time it takes, right, in business or literally, I guess anything could be a teachable moment. But then, also like you said, the coaching and stuff kind of on air, if you will, might be kind of cool.
Well, I think the biggest thing for him that he's starting to figure out right now is the branding piece.
Yeah.
And how he fits, or how he's going to make, because he does multiple businesses, and, making those businesses fit him and his lifestyle it's the same principles for real estate and for the insurance sales that he does, but just putting his brand together. And what I would like to see is that if he chooses to continue on with both, I'd be interested to see how he can make a cohesive brand out of both roles. So I mean, I'm excited to see the future of it. I think there's a lot to learn. Obviously, on the real estate side, he's brand fucking new at that. But I'm excited to kind of see the growth through that.
Yeah, I think the other thing might be to understanding an audience, right, and what channels are effective for that audience, right? Because the other business is Medicare, right? And which is 65-year-olds and older. Yeah. So, something like that, I feel like that doesn't live on Instagram. You know what I mean? So I that's kind of a unique perspective, if you will, when it comes to marketing and businesses, is where does your business lie? Where is your business primarily, and where's your audience sitting at? Because older folks are on Facebook. They know how to navigate Facebook, so that might be a good channel for them. But chances are they're not on Instagram. Chances are they're not on TikTok or Snapchat or something, right? So I think maybe that is important. I don't know if YouTube would be a thing. I feel like maybe it could.
I mean, dude, YouTube is a market for freaking everything. Junior kind of put it into perspective for me that people will put YouTube on the TV
Yep.
and just listen to it in the background while they're doing their dishes or they're cleaning the house or,
Yep.
you know, whatever they're doing. And so I think that there's a niche there for every industry. And it's just how you channel it, right? Like how you go about talking about it. And with that, I don't know if there's legality around the insurance industry and that kind of thing and what he can speak to and what he can't.
Yeah, I think
like there's some red tape in real estate and that kind of thing. But for the most part, it's pretty wide open. So I'd be interested to see if he started a YouTube channel about Medicare and just put out information, I bet you he would get some clients from it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine so. I also wonder what that would look like nationwide. You know, if
he can,
you know, if whether he's licensed there or if that looks like a referral, right? So I mean, whatever that might mean. I think though, I mean, maybe, you know, just going on YouTube and searching like something about Medicare, see who's doing it and what they're doing. There's got to be somebody doing it, you know,
guarantee it.
So you know, it's like you and I are both going through like the VA claims, right? And if you go on YouTube and you look at claims, like disability claims or whatever for the VA, there's all sorts of videos on it. There's attorneys making videos on it. There's other vets who have just gone through the process. There's, you know, all sorts of people who are making videos. I think YouTube, like any business can live on, which is pretty cool. And
the shitty part about, so like with the VA thing, it's highly emotional.
Yeah.
Right. And so like the shitty part about that industry is that unfortunately there needs to be people that like have that business to do it, because, you know, as much as we want to think as Americans that the VA has our best interest in mind and they want to help us and everything, they don't fucking care at all. They don't give a shit.
No.
They would rather watch us, you know, be miserable and in pain all the time and everything else than actually give us benefits.
Right.
So, you know, it sucks that there's a business for it that's on YouTube, but the education and you know, I think it goes down to any social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. People want to be educated. They want to know, you know, what's going on in the industry. They want to know that you know what's going on as well.
Yeah.
And so if they're going to choose you, you know, what better platform or what better, I guess, topic than to actually like put out educational content.
Yeah.
And that's that know, like, and trust factor. And I think Josh is learning that. I think he's picking it up. I think he's just having, you know, a growth period of like where to channel it.
Yeah. Well, and there's also that struggle between having two things, right? That like we've talked about before is like, it's hard to be consistent and consistently be an expert at one thing when you have multiple things.
Right.
That is like, you know, it's kind of like a tug of war. That is pulling you in different directions at the same time. So
it's not impossible, but it's hard. It's hard to focus on that one thing.
A lot of people, you know, in the hardest thing, I think for a lot of people is that, one of those things isn't to a solid point before they start the other one. Right. So it's both things are then like the startup phase is like the hardest phase, which is what we learned. Like our first 4 or 5 years was a startup phase. And that is like,
I mean, I'm going through it again.
Well, right. And that's like the hardest fucking part. And you know, oftentimes people don't necessarily realize like, hey, if I'm starting two things at once, that's two startups at the same time. And it's just me. I don't have help, you know? And so startups are designed to be hard. They're designed to be, you have to cut your expenses. You have to go lean, and you have to figure out free ways to do it. And that's why content is great for that. It's just
building partnerships.
Yeah. Partnerships and time expenditure. It's just, where are you allotting your time? You know, and how are you being effective with it? And managing your appointments and stuff. And, you know, like now in my business here, the listing appointments and stuff, like you're very adamant about, being quick on your appointments. Like you are good at that, like making it efficient, right? I'm not very good at that, but now in the way my business is now, I think because of YouTube, like kind of don't need, well, the efficiency is always good, but like if I have to stay longer with some clients or whatever, like for the sale of their house, like this lady in North Chili that we're listing, we were there for like 3 hours, and it was a long fucking time. It was exhausting, but it was necessary to kind of like gain her confidence, I guess, like to help her understand the process, what's going on and what it's going to look like, what she's going to have to do, what's expected of her. Get the dogs out of the house, make sure the house is clean, it smells good, you know, vacuum the carpets, like whatever, all that kind of stuff. So like there's certain times where you can be a little bit more, I guess, reckless with your time if you need to be.
Right.
As long as like that time you're being reckless is still intentional. Like you're still staying on task. You're not bullshitting. Like you're building rapport the way you're supposed to, and you're doing the things that you're supposed to do.
I think when it comes down to things like that, I mean, as long as you're cognizant of your schedule and you don't have anything going on other than maybe administrative tasks, then you can afford to take a little bit longer on those appointments. I'm still very much, you know, efficiency. Like I feel like I can get what I need accomplished with myself and with the client in a reasonable amount of time where I don't need to be there for 3 hours anymore. And, you know, the way I see it too now at this point in my life is that, you know, value, I forget how Ed Milet says it, but people see value in busy, right? Because, you know, you got things to do. Like people want to work with you. You have, like, you run your own business. Like you do important shit. And when you treat yourself that way and you treat your business that way, you know, a lot of self-employed people are exactly that. They're just self-employed. They don't actually run a business. And so when you actually treat your business like a business and you treat your time like a business and yourself like a business, whether it's fitness or you know, just, I don't know, your real estate or healthcare, whatever it is, if you treat it like a business and you actually like act like you got shit going on, I do find that people will gravitate towards you even more though, because you're fitting an hour of your day, your busy day, you know, you're fitting them into an hour of your busy day. And they become grateful for that because they know you got shit to do. And so like, I think it is important that you spend the time necessary on that first, you know, contact or that first appointment, but also you just got to run your shit like a business. And if you're not, people are going to take advantage of you. And honestly, like it might be good for that old lady that just wants to sit there and mingle and, you know, make her feel good and whatever, you know, kind of like your grandson. Like we had that client from Chili, you know, first year in business. I was there for 4 hours. And, you know, had I not been there for 4 hours, I wouldn't have got that listing. And she even told me that, you know, it was because I spent the time with her, but also she knew I was a new agent. She, like, the reason she chose me was because I took the time with her, and like connected on a personal level. Whereas the other agent that I was competing with had been in the business for 40 years and was in and out and talked shit about me being a new agent. So there was a little bit more of a respect thing there. And then, you know, the 4 hours that I spent with her just helped it along, basically.
That was also understanding that she just had a husband that passed away recently. And it was understanding the circumstance, which brings me to something else I want to talk about is like, kind of like that EQ, right? versus the IQ. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast before. I don't even know if, I mean, I feel like you and I have talked about it, but like I'm big on, neither of us, like we're, I always say this, like, and you do too, kind of like self-deprivating, or is that the word? Deprivating? Like
I don't know what
self, like not giving ourselves credit type thing. So you and I always say about ourselves, because we were told this growing up, like that we're stupid, we're not very smart or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And to an extent it's true, but also like we're smart, we're smart enough, right? So like our IQ is like smart enough to be able to deal with most situations and be able to communicate with people and stuff. But where we get by is the EQ, understanding the people that we're working with. And maybe like within interfamilial relationships and stuff, we're a little bit hot-headed, right? Like just within our family and stuff. But in a business sense, out on the street, just with normal people and just the community and stuff, we're very emotionally intelligent, understanding how people are feeling, understanding what they're thinking, like what their motives are.
How they're responding to situations.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of go south, is they disregard that. They kind of, they're too within themselves, and they disregard the other person, how they're feeling, what they're thinking, like, and that takes away the rapport. And I think that's kind of where people like us, where maybe like we're not the smartest people. I can point to probably 100 real estate agents in this market that are smarter than me. But you know, it's how are you connecting with the people? And there's so many people that don't know how to do that, and they're awkward, or they're just looking for any moment to really just talk about themselves or to give the sales pitch, right? And there's clearly moments, like going back to our last discussion, where you can go in and you can just like kind of give your pitch and, you know, be in and out in 30 minutes or whatever. But then there's absolutely the moments where you need to take a little bit longer because the client is that way. They need time, right?
Right.
And I just think that's an important note, is to understand like EQ versus IQ. IQ is not everything. Everyone's like, they got a Stanford degree, or they got a fucking Notre Dame or Yale degree or whatever, they're going to be super successful. It's like, no, oftentimes people with the highest IQ have no idea how to communicate in the real world. They have no idea how to build community or do anything like that.
Yeah. And they don't know how to communicate effectively. And the thing is a lot of those smart people, quote unquote smart people, they listen to sell, right? Like, no, that's not how I want to say it.
Well, they listen to speak.
Yes. And whereas, you know, they don't actually listen to hear, you know, the concerns, you know, and address the concerns of, you know, the consumer or anybody else. And it's not just in sales. It's literally everything, whether you're talking to your spouse or your kid or your friend or a consumer or a business partner or whatever. I mean, you have to listen to the concerns. You have to be able to understand what's going through their mind, what's going on in their heart, right? Like, what are they actually, you know, feeling or thinking? Not that you need to care about their feelings. This isn't some like mushy, you know, cupcakes and rainbows type conversation, but it's basic leadership, right? Like, it's a collaborative environment. And if you're not being collaborative in sales in general, you're going to fucking lose. Yeah. And so you can be as smart as you fucking want. But the problem is with smart people is that they always have the solutions. Yeah. Right. They're always coming to you with a fix. And that's how they're going to get paid. Right. That's how they think they're going to get paid. But the people that are actually getting paid the most are the best leaders. And the leaders don't always have the solutions. The leaders are humble enough to understand that other people might have the solutions, right? I'm going to be open-minded enough to accept that solution and actually implement it. I'm going to put the team together to implement it. And that's how I'm going to get paid. That's how leaders get paid.
Yeah.
You don't always have the solutions, but sometimes the solution is somebody else's solution. So, you know, the IQ part of it, it ain't shit most of the time, because you can go on YouTube and learn just about anything, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You can go on YouTube and learn just about anything. You can go on Udemy. You can go on Coursera. You can, like, anything.
Yeah.
You can go and learn for free almost. And I mean, a lot of times you can become more well-rounded in that field than some professionals in that field.
Well, and not only that, but like, especially with that stuff now, you see more people making more money with no degree and a YouTube, basically maybe a degree from YouTube University, right? And versus the ones who paid $100,000 to go to Yale or Harvard or whatever. And you know, I think of one relationship that we have that we kind of, I mean, I don't go this route anymore. You once I say it, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. I don't want to throw out names here, because good guy. But you know, I remember sitting in closings and with clients who are scraping up their last penny,
and he's talking about himself,
talking about
and how rich he is,
millions of dollars, and like, it's like, bro, read the fucking room, man. Like, read the room. Like, you're sitting here with someone who is like, literally they scraped up their last penny that fell in their couch cushion, you know, and on a $150,000 house, and you're talking about like how you're making $4 million this year. It's like, cool, buy them the fucking house then, you know. That's nothing for you. Like, it's like, read the room, have the emotional intelligence here to just like not talk about yourself for a second. Like, you know,
there's a time and a place,
that, but
you know, if you're out with your buddies and you're all busting on each other and shit, like, cool, you can bring up your money, you can bring up how rich you are and how fucking cool it is to have that Mercedes and all this stuff, right? But yeah, I mean, if you're in an emotional situation, which closing on your first home is fucking emotional. Yeah. Selling your first home or buying an investment property for the first time, or, you know, actually like getting life insurance, right? Setting your family up for success. That's fucking emotional. Yeah. So, you know, when you're sitting in those situations, you have to be able to read the room and actually understand and remember what it's like to go through that situation. And, you know, the biggest thing, we look at all of these people that have loads and loads and loads of money, right? And, you know, we're friends with a couple people that, you know, are very financially successful. Mm-hmm. And they sit there and they're humble with you, who are making, I don't know, whatever it is, $100,000 or 200, and they are sharing the struggles that you have because they remember what it was like at your point. Yeah. Right. And so when we're looking at these people that are emotionally intelligent, or I mean, emotionally unintelligent, right? It's like, how empathetic are you to other people's situations, right? Reading the room and being an effective communicator is being at their level, right? Having the ability to be at their level. Well, whether it's, you know, $50,000 earner or $18 million earner. And you know, I was sitting there. Hold on one second. Let me finish this. I was sitting there with a guy the other day in my $25,000 truck. And you know, he's worth over $100 million, this guy, and he's sitting in the passenger seat of my truck. And I'm sitting there like, he's communicating with me as if he's making 150 grand or whatever it is, right? He's communicating with me on my level, and I'm trying to communicate with him on his level and kind of, you know, show myself a little bit too in my knowledge and experience in real estate and everything. But the respect that he had, it made me, and like the emotional intelligence, it made me realize why this dude had $100 million versus some other dudes that can't get past a certain level. Right. Or just kind of fizzle out, or maybe don't have very many personal relationships. And, he's talking to me about the Marine Corps, and he's talking to me about different investments, and he's giving me advice and, some other things like that. And it made me realize, like, he's no different.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of these people, like who you're referring to, the attorney there, they get full of themselves. They act like they're different than you because they make more money or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we use the phrase a lot, but every single person gets shit on their hands sometimes when they wipe.
Yeah.
Right. So like every fucking person does that. No one is different. No one's above anyone else. No one's below anyone else. And so having that compassion, having that empathy, and being able to resonate with human beings is what actually will make you long-term successful.
Yeah. And I think that's where the shift in our businesses came, was in the beginning. I mean, you remember in the beginning, we were so like dappered up, so dressed up, so like just not relating to anything. Like we're coming off as we're making $1 million a year or whatever, but like we're dressing that way. Obviously we weren't, we just got in the business, but we're dressing that way and we're acting that way, and not really a ton came from it. There were some good opportunities, but it's not like those opportunities, I think those opportunities just kind of fell in our lap because of where we were at. But I mean, then you step away from putting on that persona, and in just business changes. It becomes more fun for one, and people like more people start reaching out to you because now you're a person. Yeah. And it's like, oh shit, this person, this guy isn't a fucking douchebag. Like,
Well, I think there's something to be said for, acting but portraying the person that you want to be.
Yeah. Acting as if.
But with that said, I'm not a huge proponent of like the whole fake it till you make it, because fake it till you make it is you're putting off this, you're being a fake person.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, to your point, like we were acting like we were making $1 million, but we came off a job in the military that literally was paying us $25,000 a fucking year. Yeah. So like I remember filing my taxes one year, and I was like $1,000 or $2,000 over the poverty threshold.
Technically, yeah, but like, I
guess with healthcare and whatever. Yeah. But still, it's you can't do that shit. And we learned that the hard way. And unfortunately, the mentor that we had made us feel like it was okay. Yeah. Right. Made us feel like we should be doing that. And I think, where things really kind of picked up and stepped up was when we left.
Yeah.
We found ourselves in a better environment with more real human beings, and we could actually make progress because we were seeing a different side of business. And now, I mean, we've almost seen it all, right? There's not much that we haven't seen in this business.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we really haven't stepped much into is the commercial side of things, with businesses buying massive properties and stuff.
I would also say like really high-end luxury.
Yeah, but
like actually,
I've come to realize that's really no different. It's the same principles.
Yeah.
As any kind of residential, it's the same principles, different price point.
Yeah. It's just a separate market though.
And actually, those high-end buyers, the people or sellers, the only thing they're paying you for is convenience.
Yeah.
Like they're hiring you because they trust you and whatnot, but they don't want to fucking deal with it. That's not their job. They have better places to be. that's actually going to make them money and, spend their time in a better place or whatever. They're hiring you for your professionalism and the convenience that you bring.
Yeah.
So they don't you can bring your problems to your $200,000 clients, right? You can bring the problems to them, but the wealthy clients are paying you to keep that away from them.
Yeah.
Right? You are the bullet catcher for them. So it's the same product. It's just a different clientele that, they're just paying you for a different reason. The lower end of the buyers, they want to, and sellers, they want to know every last detail.
Yeah.
Right. They want to know every essence of the fucking system and process and everything. The high end buyers and sellers, they don't care. That's why they're hiring a professional. The one thing I've learned in life is that I personally need to stop trying to get good at everything and actually delegate shit.
Yeah.
Because when you hire professionals to do what they're good at, your time and your energy is freed up, and you can go and spend that time and energy on things that actually you know how to do and make you money.
Yeah. Yeah. And, with those upper price ranges, like I've been telling Josh a lot, like at those levels, the conversations change. It's no longer about money. Like money's it's not a factor, right? Like you talk about closing costs to somebody who's buying a $200,000 house, chances are closing costs, that's expensive. That's expensive for them. $15,000, right? Something like that. Like that's
hard to come by. That's
super expensive. But you get up to, shit, like right now I'm selling two properties in the 400,000 range and one almost close to 500. And it's, closing cost, $75,000. Okay. On top of the down payment, right? Like the down payment plus that. Okay, fine. Like that's what we're buying, like we know that. And so it's nothing is like the money is not a thing for them. What they care about more is functionality in lifestyle. Like is for the house anyway, is the property going to make their lifestyle better? Is it going to make it easier? Yeah. Is it going to suit their lifestyle? Right. So these people have race cars. Like, does it fit their trailer and their race cars properly with room for the lift that they do the work on the race cars with? Like, making sure that it fits their life and not just worrying about their wallet, because they know that money, they have the skills to come by that money again. They're going to get it back. It's going to come back to them. And I think that is the difference, is like that scarcity versus abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Where like wealthy people, they know that money's not a factor. They're going to make it. Right. So they're not like super, like reckless with their money. They're not spending it on crazy shit, but if it's something that they want to do, they're spending it, and they're happy to spend it because they know it's coming back, or what they spent it on is well worth it because they've already calculated that risk in their head. Yeah. Whereas
they're really good at calculating value.
Yeah.
Whereas, when you don't, quite frankly, when you don't have the money, value doesn't even fucking matter.
Right.
Right. Like, well, if you're pinching pennies or you're worried about closing costs or whatever, you're not weighing out the opportunity cost.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about that future. You're just thinking about what it looks like today, and today it ain't that pretty. Right. So that hurts, right? Like, it's more emotional at that point.
And so something like a small example of this is like, we just got like, it was like a membership thing for our groceries, and it was like $80 for the year to have all of our groceries delivered. And like they shop for you and they deliver it all to your house. And it was like $80 for the year. Whereas when we were going to Wegmans and we were paying just to pick up the groceries, they would shop and we would go pick it up. And it's an additional $40 every single time we would get groceries. Whereas,
Well, so it's $80 plus like your groceries, right?
no, $80 for the year. It's a
Right.
it's
Plus
a one
your groceries.
It's a one-time thing for the year, and then the groceries.
Yeah.
But at Wegmans, it was $40 every single time we shopped.
Right.
So if we shopped 52 times in the year, once a week, right? Whatever 40 times 52 is, plus the $250 we're paying on groceries. Whereas this, it's $250 on groceries every week plus only $80. It's not $80 every week. It's $80 once. So now I don't have to go to the store. We don't have to take the time to shop. We don't have to take the time to go pick it up. Right. And so it's delivered to our door. And I'm like, $80 for the year, like 100%.
You're saving $2,000 just on
100%,
just on shopping.
Yes. Like it would be stupid not to do that for us. And it's like,
what service is that?
It's Walmart. Walmart offers that. And it's like, yeah, like, okay, quality of food from Wegmans to Walmart. Yeah, it's going down a little bit, but now we can actually afford, well, we could afford it, but now we're comfortable buying all organic, everything now, all the food that we want now. Whereas at Wegmans, like if we got everything that we wanted organic, it'd be like $400 on like, if we didn't get organic, it'd be like $200. So it's like double the payment. Whereas at Walmart, it's, $250 or whatever for all organic. So, but we're like $80 for the year. Why wouldn't we do that? And it's delivered to the house. You're saving me, 3 hours a week or whatever by not having to go shop or go pick it up or, take the drive time and everything in between my schedule. Like you're saving me time here and now you're saving money. So
well, I'm glad you found something. That was one of my biggest bitches about, that you would do is you would go and, pick up groceries or whatever.
Yeah.
In between fucking work or appointments or whatever. And I would always yell at you and say you shouldn't be doing that shit.
No, and it's frustrating. And Jordan actually found it. She was just looking into like Walmart pickup or Walmart groceries or something. And she found it and she's like, this is worth it, right? And I'm like, fuck yeah. So I don't have to go do it. And, it's just like, cause she doesn't like, she's just the type, she doesn't like doing things alone. I don't I don't know, but it's a hassle for me because that means I have to plan times to do it. Sometimes you can't plan that time to do it, and if I do have that time off, I want to spend it at home with Stevie and her, like not shopping, not doing stupid shit like that. It's pointless. So, I don't know. It's just, that was a huge time saver, but it's worth something like that. It's worth the money. And I think that is how like wealthy people think is like, there's a huge value in that. In, whether it's $80 for the year, if that's $4,000 for the year, there's a huge value add. Cause you're saving money and time somewhere else. So,
and I mean, that's applicable into business too, because a lot of people are like, oh, I could write my own contracts, right. And save money, and manage a transaction and whatever and save money that way. But dude, what do we pay? $250 a transaction for Begonia. Yep. And she takes care of literally all the fucking paperwork except for the initial contract. Yep. And she would do it. She would, but we like submitting that and writing up that initial contract.
Yep.
And a lot like in this market, right? It pays to be able to do it ourselves. So that we can do it, on the drop of a dime whenever we need to or whatever. Like it pays to do that, but she would. And for $250, like taking that headache off my fucking plate, you do all the paperwork, all the bullshit addendums and stuff you're sending to the clients, you're communicating with the attorneys. Like, I don't fucking care. The only reason I check my inbox during the day is for new business.
Yeah.
Because my priority is making sure that I get back to new business quickly.
Yeah.
Everything else, it's not time sensitive for the most part. And, if it is time sensitive, Begonia sees it and she can take care of it with a phone call or whatever.
Yep.
But as long as I'm in the loop and I have access to those emails and I can read through it and stuff, but not necessarily make it an action item for me, then I'm just focused on doing what makes me money, which is getting new business.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about, all the addendums and the fucking communication with the attorneys and shit. Like, I'm in the know, right? And like Begonia will school me in and everything when she needs to. But for $250 a transaction, like, you're stupid not to. When you're making a $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 transaction or commission, and you pay out fucking $250 to offload all of that work off your plate, like you're an idiot not to.
If you need that additional $250 to come in, then you've got bigger problems than. It's
like I get it. That's a month. That's a month of gas, right? Like in your truck or whatever. But to your point, if you need that, it's you got bigger problems. You probably shouldn't be,
you should pick up a side gig for sure. Like you should pick up another job or something like and
that's like with Josh, right? Like, I think Josh implementing this into his business, implementing Begonia into his business immediately is crucial.
Yeah.
I get it. He needs to know how to write contracts and do that kind of thing, right? And he needs to understand them. He needs to have an understanding so he can communicate to the client about them. But with that said, he runs 2 different practices.
Yep.
So getting him as automated as possible. And, that's another thing is automation for your marketing, right? Like sending out drip campaigns, or like, what's the first thing that buyer's agents do with their clients? They send out a fucking search, right?
Yeah. They put them on a
the search, it automates their searching for them.
Yeah.
Like the client can just as easily see it on Zillow.
And they do.
Right.
The search is one of the most like useless things in my opinion. Like, most people, they wake up and before they check their email, they click the Zillow app. Like, if they're hunting for homes, that's what they do. But it makes it seem like you're doing the work too. Yeah. And which you should be looking at what's coming on the market and stuff. You should be looking at that. But it eliminates you having to actually physically send it to them, get the link, send it to them, or, whatever. Like,
and what I always tell my clients is like, hey, it's not that it's useless, but it's a resource for you. But the reason I like it is so that you don't have to depend on my schedule in order to see properties.
Yeah.
Right. If there's a property that you see come through the portal and you like it, you shoot me a text and you let me know. You will probably see that property before I do because I'm on the road all day. I'm writing contracts and whatever. But I have information on my end of things that you don't have in that portal. So send me that address or whatever, and I'm more than happy to take a look at it and, get you into a showing in that house. But that frees up not only your time, but it frees up the client's time because they actually get to make a decision at that point versus being forced into a decision where all of a sudden, they're relying on my schedule. They see a property last second before offers are due, and now you're scrambling to see that property and write an offer.
Yep.
We've had those clients before that find a property and they're like, "Oh my God, I want to see it," but then offers are due tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So you have to go see it today,
or their schedule is so busy, or they can't figure out their own schedule, so it seems busy that.
Yep.
That basically they'll see it as soon as it comes on the market, but then the only time they can go see it is later or whatever, or that's when they send it to you because they forgot or something. Yeah. I've got clients like that right now, and it's frustrating.
That's the biggest issue I have with relocation buyers.
Yeah.
Is, they don't want to buy a home sight unseen, and I totally get it. But by the time you get here,
you have to be here to see it though. Like,
right. By the time you get here and travel here,
yeah.
Like, and we look at that, it's probably going to be gone.
Yeah.
And it has happened. Like clients have been coming into town, and I've had to text them and say, hey, this property is gone.
Yeah.
You know, your number one choice was gone, because guess what? It was everyone else's choice.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the downside about relocation market. I actually just had some clients in town that I had to find a furnish finder fucking deal.
Yeah.
For.
You guys don't have delayed negotiations?
No.
Yeah. So that like up here, obviously that's what makes it easier is that, you know, if they see something on Monday, they will probably have until the following Monday to get here and say they want to offer or whatever. So like it makes it a lot easier when you can do that. But yeah, I'd imagine if you don't, I don't know how other people are doing it. Like Junior, like all the guys in Denver or whatever who don't do delayeds. It's like basically you're going to have to give them a fresh set of listings as soon as they get here and see what's on the market. Like have them view what's on the market for that day, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what it is. And, you know, a lot of what I've learned is a lot of these relocation buyers, they don't buy right away.
Yeah.
They will rent at a short-term rental.
Yeah. Which that's nice though. And that's nice.
But also, I mean, some of them aren't contingent.
Right.
Some of them aren't contingent on a sale. So they can, you know, travel down and, you know, make an offer on a property and then sell their house later.
Yeah.
But the other issue is agents that aren't familiar with other states and practices, such as due diligence.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, North Carolina is one of 8 states that has the fucking stupid ass due diligence thing. And, you know, I was talking with some buyers and we're writing up a quick offer, and I was telling them like, hey, you know, this is a competitive house, and in order to get it, like we need to go hard because you're contingent on selling your home.
Yep.
We need to go hard on the due diligence and the earnest money.
Yep.
And they brought it back to their realtor in their state that they're selling their home with. And she's 100 years old, doesn't know practice in North Carolina, and said, well, due diligence honestly sounds like a scam. And so they told me, and I said, abso-fucking-lutely it is. Like, I agree with you. That doesn't get past the fact that it's a normal thing here.
It's necessary, yeah.
You know, unfortunately, it is what it is. If you don't want to do due diligence, you need to look for a property that's been on the market for a little while.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you kind of get the second, you know, sloppy seconds. But unfortunately, if it's and I hate it. Like, I think it's the most pointless thing in the world. I think that it's screwing buyers over.
Yeah.
And it's
realistically,
it's just stupid.
Who has that much money to, well, in today's market, I guess we might be seeing a little bit more, but for your average buyer, like not many people have that much money where they're doing earnest money deposit and due diligence, right? It's like their due diligence is like $1,000 or something. It might be like real small. Like what are the percentages and whatnot? Like if you're doing earnest money deposit and due diligence, what's that look like? Is it like a $20K earnest money and then a $1,000 due diligence, or like?
Yeah. So I tried getting a quote unquote standard, right? And since I've been here, no one's been able to give me that. Some people say it's like 1%. Some people say it's 10%. Like, people are all over the place with it.
Yeah.
In my mind, it needs to be reasonable. But the thing is, like, I don't care what price point you're at. If you're giving $5,000 non-refundable to somebody and it's going directly into their bank account, that's a big deal to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, just so that you can do an inspection.
So what happens? So what is it used for? You get due diligence. It's due what, at the time of offer or right after
The time of acceptance.
Okay, so acceptance.
So,
and how is it different than earnest money? Because earnest money, I mean, basically it's wrapped up into the closing costs, or it goes toward the closing costs or down payment or whatever, right? So due diligence is just an additional amount that, like, what if on the inspection something comes up? Do you get that back?
No.
So you're just essentially throwing out money.
So yeah, here's what happens. You and this is why I hate it. But let's say you give $2,000 for due diligence fee.
Yeah.
So you offer $2,000, your offer gets accepted. You give the seller directly $2,000. It goes directly into their bank account, the seller. It is included in the closing cost should the deal make it to the closing table. However, you have a due diligence period and call it 20 days, 15, 20 days, whatever it is, where you can perform just about any inspection you want. Like, the weird thing here is, like, you don't necessarily list out your inspections. You can do an engineer inspection, a septic inspection. You can have a flooring company come in and do estimates. You can do cabinet company. Like, there's really, the house is basically just put into a pending status for the due diligence period.
Yep.
And you can go and do all of your inspections, your estimates, all of that shit. If the buyer backs out during that due diligence period, they lose that money, and that money is directly into the seller's pocket already, and that's compensation to the seller for taking their home off the market. Because it's such a fucking inconvenience for the seller to take the home off the market when they're trying to sell it.
So what if the seller then backs out?
Then they're responsible for giving the money back.
So what if they've spent it?
Yes, that's a sore topic, because there are people that don't get their money back.
So like for example,
and they have to litigate.
I'm thinking about me as a buyer. I go and I do $5,000 due diligence, right, to you as the seller.
Mm-hmm.
You get that. And now you're going to buy a house because you're selling your house. You need somewhere to go. You use that same $5,000 to put it down on due diligence for another house. It's spent.
Right.
It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then your house that you're buying falls apart for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And you lose your due diligence that you spent on that house because there was an inspection, something came up. You're uncomfortable with it. You back out. So you lose that money.
Mm-hmm.
And now because you haven't found a house to buy, or you don't have money for due diligence anymore, so you can't buy a house. Now you have to take your house off the market, no longer sell it to me. So then I sue you for that $5,000, even though an attorney is going to cost $5,000.
Yep. Yeah, you have to litigate, stupid. And you have to, as far as I know anyway, you have to litigate and you have to go through that process. It's absolutely, North Carolina says they're a buyer-friendly state or a buyer-protective state. But in my mind, you're doing the opposite. And let's say you do, $2,500 or $5,000 or whatever it is, and you're willing to lose that money due to a house having a foundation, pretty significant foundation crack, or roof damage or whatever, right? Like, you have to replace all of the furnace and the ductwork or whatever, or the heat pump rather. Like, you can only, the thing is you give that $5,000 up. Let's say you're okay with walking away from that house. Now you have to save that $5,000 up again.
Yeah.
Because most people aren't made of money, and most people, even if they're buying a $400,000 house, some of them they're using every last penny they have.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a grant program, closing cost grant program. North Carolina does, New York does it too. But you are literally allowed to use this and be zero in your bank account.
Yeah.
Like you can bring your account down to zero and still use this closing cost assistance to close on a house. And like, how fucked up is that?
Yeah.
That you can indebt yourself and potentially lose a due diligence because something substantial, right? You're going to spend 40 grand on a roof.
Yeah.
Versus that $5,000. I would rather take a loss of $5,000, but it's going to take me out of the market for a little while.
Yeah. It,
you know,
I don't know. I just think like, it doesn't seem like that goes, it doesn't seem like that's a free market. It like,
well,
because we look at fair market, like, or free market capitalism. And it's like, you make a deal, right? If I have a product, you make a deal to me to buy it. And what it could be whatever price. If I take a loss on it, I take a loss on it. If you get it on a great deal, or if you overpay for it, you overpay for it. But it's like,
right.
It's like here, you make an offer requesting with the rest of the market, requesting either in the offer or not, the right or the opportunity to do an inspection of any sort.
Right.
And and the seller has full right to deny that. And that's their benefit, right? That's their that's their advantage. Whereas your advantage is, hey, maybe if I put up more money, like in a mortgage, if I offer them more money to buy the house, maybe they'll allow me to do an inspection. Or you get creative and do it the way that we do it and do it during showings, right? And you figure it out because that's what you do in a free market. Whereas now this is like seeming like it's kind of like, I don't know, the word coercive comes to mind, but it's like, it's not very free market. I don't know.
So it came about because during COVID, you know, people would get involved in a deal and then, you know, they would claim that COVID, you know, impacted their financial ability or whatever. So now the seller is out of sale and they have to start over and yada, yada, yada. And it just kind of, you know,
so then with that rationale, with that rationale, that makes it a seller friendly program, like a seller friendly, not a buyer friendly thing.
Well, that's the thing. So North Carolina prides themselves on being buyer friendly, but then they impose this due diligence, and it completely takes it away, in my opinion. But the agents here use it as a way to have the buyer's skin in the game because of COVID. And my thing is like, well, I mean, earnest money, you can't just walk away from a house all willy-nilly and get your earnest money back.
Yeah, I mean, I get it though, because like when you actually think about it, you kind of can, like you can. There's all sorts of way. I mean, you know as well as I do. There's all sorts of, all the way up to the final walkthrough. You can walk away and get your money back. The final walkthrough is a means of getting your money back. So like, or you could have the lender decline the mortgage, you know, if they haven't funded it already. So like they just write a letter of declination. And I mean, really that's all the way up until, I mean, a week before final walkthrough, you know? So like you can get your money. That doesn't mean everyone's happy.
Right.
And that doesn't mean it's not shitty or that it doesn't suck, but like you can get your earnest money back. But I see it the same way that you do. Like that's what the earnest money's for, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, I think our system with earnest money, maybe we fixed this system here a little bit to make it more locked in. Right. You have earnest money, but like maybe clear up the gray spaces. Like,
right.
You know, I don't know, because realistically you can get your money back, your earnest money back for like really anything. Even if you just have a change of heart, you can have some sort of an excuse.
You got to jump through hoops though to do it, right? Like it's not easy to get your earnest money back.
Right.
So you got to jump through hoops to do it. And we're not looking to keep people in jail.
Right.
Right. In my opinion, like you don't want to lock them into shit. Yes, you want to hold them accountable because this is a transaction. And if you breach the contract, then, we hold you accountable. But the thing is like, when it comes to a home, people want to feel like they're making a sound decision,
right.
sound purchase.
Right.
And so when you lock them into it at the expense of a couple thousand, I don't know. I just feel like it's a big deal for something that you should have a little bit more flexibility with. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that's weird. And something like that though, that I think that's why agents and real estate coaches should tread lightly on speaking about other markets.
Yeah.
Because we have coaches or agents or whatever who are saying, this is what we did, and if we could do it, then you could definitely succeed at this or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but there's these hurdles here in this market that doesn't fully work this way. Like it doesn't work that way. Hold on. If we could get a buyer under, like, if we could literally not compete with even one other person, right? Or 5 other people, like, then I think we'd already be rich from real estate.
Yeah.
With how many offers that we put in on houses now. Like the thing is, the people out west that we know, the people down south that we know, they're not dealing with 10 other offers on these houses. These houses are sitting on the market for 22 days.
Yeah.
So if you went in on day 15 and you submitted a decent offer under asking price even with an inspection, like, and I could get my buyer a house for that, like what the hell's the problem? Like, of course you're going to be successful because that is an easy market to deal with. That was when we first got in the market. When we first got into real estate, you were submitting offers and they would get accepted. Right. And now that we have a whole pool of buyers just waiting, we'd be loaded. We'd be super successful at it. But now you're competing with 10 other offers.
Yeah, no. People forget that real estate's hyper local. It's like I was telling Josh the other day. It's hyper local. And so when you get these fucking gurus, right? Like we all know who they are, right? Like, for example, the Glenda Bakers or the Ricky Caruths or, these fucking gurus that come out and they say, oh yeah, you can get houses 30 grand under asking price or fucking all these lender credits and all this or seller credits, and yada, yada, yada. Or you can have them buy down your rate, the seller buy down your rate. And it's like, okay, but not in this market. Yeah. Like even here in North Carolina. So like the agents here are like, oh, it's such a crazy market. It's easing up or whatever they're saying.
Yeah.
And so it's a seller's market here, right? It's a seller's market. We're looking at 2 months supply of inventory. However, homes are sitting on the market for 20 something days. And they're saying that, it's because, there's not a lot of buyers anymore. Not a lot of buyers. Really?
How's this still a seller's market then?
How's that a seller? How are we still showing that there's 2 months supply of inventory?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and the absorption rate, of course, is a historical trend, right? Typically a month prior.
It lags by a month.
Like the thing is that, okay, so yeah, we have buyers that are being a little more cognizant of what they're spending, right? Because we have an 8% interest rate. In this area, we have a fair amount of inventory.
Yeah.
So if you as a listing agent don't list your home list the home properly, right? And you just list it like a fucking monkey used to be able to sell, right? Like if you list it high because that's what your seller wants and you have no strategy, then yeah, it's going to sit on the market for 30 days.
Yeah.
Right. Meanwhile, you have properties that are listed correctly that are selling in 4 days. Right. So I like this whole concept of lender credits and all of this other stuff. Like, you're not seeing that around the country. You're seeing that in certain markets.
Yeah.
In big markets,
Like,
big markets.
To the one saying that it's your market, like you're seeing it in your market only, but you think because it's happening in your market that it's happening everywhere else, and it's not.
Right.
It's
like
not.
I'm pretty sure in upstate New York, it's still the number one market in the U.S.
Yeah.
And you still have zero inventory. I know because I'm on the MLS.
Well, in
New York.
People, a lot of buyers are like, "Oh, that must be great for you," like as an agent, and it's like,
no, it sucks.
it's like, no, it fucking blows unless you have like listings, which, I mean,
There's not many of them.
You can be one of the lucky agents to get one of the 15 listings that go live every day, like out of the 5 counties, you know, like we're seeing out west, they put on their statistics or whatever. They're new to market, and it's like 3,000
600 new homes.
Well, yeah, minimum 600. I've seen I think it was like 1,700 new homes or something, and it's like like 1,700 new homes. I get it; it's a bigger marketplace, but like when you compare the numbers there, like, you know, per capita type thing, right? We're still so far below when you have 20 homes come on every day in the 5 county region. Like, it's just, it's fucking stupid.
Well,
so no, things don't work.
That's why you're getting the homes to sell 40, 50 grand over asking with one fucking buyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, or 2 buyers.
Right.
It's, I think there's a lack of perspective. Like we were saying earlier, you know, there's a lack of perspective and like that emotional intelligence side of things. Like, it's just they think that what it's like in front of them is what it's like for everybody. And so they speak on it.
Yeah.
Well, I can assure you, we know a lot of speakers in the industry and they go around and travel and speak in other states and shit.
Yeah.
Well, I promise you, if you go to upstate New York into Rochester and you start spitting this fucking bullshit about getting seller credits and all this other, like, everyone's going to walk out of the room and laugh at you because it's hyper local. And it just, I feel like that's why I don't like the whole resource keeping current matters. Yeah. Because it takes a national stance. Yeah. And you can't do that when you're talking about real estate. Right. And that's why I'm hesitant to work with like out of town investors, right? That are looking in other markets. Yeah. Because like you expect it to be the same as Atlanta, Georgia, or Denver, Colorado, or wherever, but it ain't the same. No. Like I'm in the number 2 relocation market right now in North Carolina. Like, we're fucking popping, right? Like, people are buying homes left and right because it's a great place to move to. And if you try and come here because of a quote unquote low costs, right? And you're trying to get homes under value and stuff, it ain't going to happen. Yeah. Yeah. So the investment space here is kind of going out the window as of right now, especially with interest rates being where they are.
That's similar to here too. It's similar to here is a lot of investors will try and call and say, you know, you guys have low home prices. It's like, yeah, we do. But for purchase, for actual single family living or owner occupant type, we're not, if you're looking for an investment, man, like, you need to buy a shithole and you better be the only offer. Because you're not getting something under asking price really anywhere here. But I was just thinking about one of the worst posts that I just saw it yesterday. And I was going through all my posts to see which ones on Instagram I could like remake. Cause I've been in a big like content lull, like just drained with ideas. I have fucking nothing going through my brain, I feel like right now with content wise. And so I was going through my feed and looking at my videos, and I saw one, I think it was like we had just gotten back from Colorado, like the first, or I don't know, one of the times. I think we had just gotten back from Colorado. And one thing that we had heard is sellers buying down points for the buyer because of the interest rates going up. And I looked at that and I was like, that makes sense, maybe in a different market. But I was thinking, hey, that might be our market too. So my dumbass wanted to be first. And so I posted a video about the Rochester market. I said, my prediction is that I think that sellers are going to be buying down points instead of seller concessions. Their concessions will be buying down points for the buyer. Well, look at how stupid I am now. How wrong I've been. And I'm glad that video quickly fell to in the middle of my feed, because now, I mean, nobody's really seeing it, but I know it's there. I'm going to probably go back and delete it or post it and say, shit, this just proves how hyper local we are.
Well, yeah. What I'll say about that is, how about all these agents telling buyers to buy the house because, or not or get into the market, because interest rates are going to go down, right? Like, buy the house because interest rates are going to go down and you just refinance. Well, how long have you fucking been saying that?
Yeah.
You've been saying that for a year and a half now, 2 years now, right? And it's only gone up. So when people started saying that, it was around 5%. We're at fucking 8%.
Yeah. And thankfully now the Fed finally said that they're not lowering it, but they're going to stop raising it. So it's probably going to sit at 8 or 8.2 or whatever it's at right now for however long. It could be 6 months, a year.
The point is like when you make your dumbass predictions, right? Like, you don't know what the federal government is going to do.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking knows, and I'm not willing to hang my hat on that.
Yeah.
And so that is why I just stick with, when the time is right, when the product comes available, you buy it.
Yeah.
Right? You don't sit there and wait for interest rate to go up or down.
Yeah.
You don't buy because of the interest rate being high or low, but you wait for the product to come available. And when it's available, you fucking buy. If it goes down later, then you refinance. Yeah. But first things first, you make sure it's in your budget.
Real estate.
The agents give out blanket statements because the rest of the world is.
Yeah, real estate's not the stock market. You can, like, there is something to be said sometimes about historical trends, but you have to look at historical trends for your area, for your market, the 1 or 2, 3, 4 counties that you operate in, where your MLS specifically covers. Anything outside of that is irrelevant. Doesn't fucking matter because it's not where you live. It's not but the real estate industry, I feel like it's such a, like a, what do you call it? Where the national media or somebody says something and then everybody, like a fucking parrot, is just like mocking, is just like saying it. It's literally everybody is chirping that. And, it just mocking pool or I don't know, whatever, but literally you can see a KCM post go out or a post by fucking, you name the person, any like big person, and probably like you see a post come out and then you'll see like a million real estate agents post the same fucking thing. Or claim it like it was their idea or something. And it's like, no, you're just in this like pool of people who are just like, I don't know, like you're saying these things in a vacuum, basically. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's like, I'm so glad that we haven't been a part of that, of like the whole marry the house, date the rate type thing, or the, I don't know, whatever these sayings are that people come out with now. It's like, I'm just so glad that we've stayed out of that, because like I don't think they understand that consumers look at them like they're fucking idiots. Because everybody has 7 realtors on their Facebook, at least, right? Like 7 agents on their Facebook. And when you see all 7 of them post the same exact thing, you look like an idiot. You look like an idiot. And so they're going to be looking at the one who's doing it differently.
Right. I got a call this morning from a woman out of Stowe, Vermont. She's moving here to like the Camp Lejeune area. And she's like, yeah, you know, I have, you know, my son has friends in Wilmington because her son lives in Wilmington, and it's like has friends in Wilmington that are realtors, and you know, put me in touch with them. And I called them and they didn't answer their phone, and I left a voicemail, and it's been about 24 hours, haven't got a phone call back yet. And he sent me their, you know, their social media profiles and stuff. And I noticed that they're all the same. Yeah. They all post the same stuff, or if they're posting at all. And she's like, I came across your podcast on YouTube, and I really like what you had to say in your podcast.
Not this podcast.
And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I mean, my videos. And she's like, yeah, I really like that because you're not only giving, you know, the good things about the area, but you're giving the bad things about the area, and, you know, areas that locals stay away from, and like, you know, all of the pertinent information to make a sound decision. Mm-hmm. And I was like, at the end of the day, I don't care what anyone else does. I don't care what they post. I don't care if I say something the exact opposite of what they're saying, right? There's room for 2 opinions in the conversation, and my opinion or my dialogue is always going to be toward what I think is going to help someone.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I made the decision to relocate myself, so I have a lot of the same questions, or I had a lot of the same questions and stuff, you know, with the content that I'm putting out. But I refuse to put out those KCM posts and everything else that every other fucking agent's doing.
Yeah.
I'm not regurgitating that shit. Like, at the end of the day, the consumer can make up their mind whether or not they're going to buy with an 8% interest rate or not.
Yeah.
And ultimately that comes down to their payment.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit what it looks like in 30 years, right? Because they will refinance. They know that.
Yeah.
But what they care about is their fucking payment.
What they're paying right now.
Yeah. And if you can keep the payment in their budget, then that's what they care about. Mm-hmm. It's the same with think about how many people make dumbass decisions with vehicles.
Yeah.
Right? Like they buy a $50,000 truck and 18% interest rate, and they keep it under I want to keep it under $500. Okay, well, I'll just, you know, extend the loan out to 120 months instead of 80.
Yeah.
You know, you're making the same idiotic decision.
Yeah.
But people only care about the payment that they're making today, and if it fits their lifestyle today.
Yeah.
And so when you're sitting there trying to force something down their throat, it can't be forced.
Right.
Right. So if you give them the information, the actual information that they need, they're capable of making their own fucking decision. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a proponent of doing the same shit that everyone else is doing, because honestly, look at their life and look at you know, where I'm going. So it just fucking is what it is.
When you look at where society is, the normal society, right? Look at normal society. See the results that they have. Do you want those results? Do you want to be in the normal, right? So if you imagine a scale, right? Just like a line type thing. And then, you know, you got poor here, wealthy over here. And, you know, poor on the left, wealthy on the right. And you draw like 2 lines in the middle to indicate the median, like the average group of people, right? They're the ones who are just doing what everyone else is doing, basically, right? The ones all the way on the left, they're not doing anything. Like, they're in poverty, you know, because of that, basically. Whatever reason that's for, it's because they're not doing anything, basically. On the right, they're doing more. They're doing different stuff. They're doing whatever. I don't want to be in that biggest group that is in the middle. I don't want to be there. I want to be in the smaller group that's on the right.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the furthest on the right. You know, I don't need to be the top dog, like in the whole space, in the nation or in the country or in the world. But like, I want to be there, right? When you're talking, that's a top 1,000 people in the country. I'm happy to be in the top 1,000. You know, because the country is a fucking big country. There's 330 million people here.
Right.
You know, it's,
Yeah.
I'm not looking to be that average dog that's, which is what most people are. And that's why they're regurgitating the same shit. That's why they're looking the same way. That's why they're saying the same shit. That's why they're doing the same business that everyone else is doing and not branching out into YouTube or into social media.
There's no value proposition. You know, I was talking about this the other day so you don't know much about what's been going on with this situation, but we have a friend out west.
Yep.
And he's looking at selling his house.
Yeah. And I'm familiar with it.
So he's got a friend out there that is selling his house. Well, he's been sending me like the listing contract and, you know, all these ideas and stuff to help him with it. And his friend,
we know the friend,
the
right?
realtor. Huh?
We know him, right?
No, not really, but I think we've discussed things with him.
Last name is a type of metal. Kind of.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. So anyway, his friend's been in the business for 2 years. Not a huge deal, but he's with a EXP team. And so they do business by charging an admin fee to the buyer, $495 admin fee, third-party admin fee. And they offer basically 2.5% to a buyer's agent, and they take 3.5%.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sitting there, and so many people are going to disagree, and it's all good. Like, I don't care. This is just my humble opinion. But I reviewed the listing contract, and I'm looking through it, and he has in there professional photos. He has MLS, access to the MLS and a sign in the yard. But no open house, no digital marketing, no video, nothing different in there. And in their listing contract, you have to put in there how you're going to market the property.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a section for digital ads, and it wasn't checked. It wasn't nothing. So anyway, he was offering a buyer's agent 2.5%, and or no, 2.8% rather, and he was taking 3.2.
Stupid.
And so I was like, hey, bro, this isn't my place, but 3% or half the commission of a full commission, if you're paying out 6% as a seller, half of that is part of a marketing expense to grab a buyer, right? So 3% of it should be getting another agent, right, to bring the deal. And it entices an agent to bring the deal. If you look at the majority of homes sitting on the market, typically it's associated, not always, but it's associated with lower commission rates.
A discounted commission, yeah.
Yep. Because people want to be compensated for the work that they do. And not for nothing, buyer's agents do the majority of the work during a transaction. So anyway, I brought it up. I said, why is he getting paid, 3.25% versus the buyer's agent getting paid some 2.8 or whatever stupid fucking percentage it was. And the agent didn't reply back in the email or whatever. But I was like, what is the value proposition? Like, I'm cool with it if he's got a value proposition where he knows everybody and he knows the exact people that are going to buy the house. And, he's going to do a video. He's going to push it out to all these other sources that most agents don't have access to. And, all this stuff. But what other... He's going to put on the MLS, put a sign in the yard. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Every single agent does that.
Right.
So like, where's the value proposition? And so, you know, when we talk about cutting commissions, you know, because a lot of people here in North Carolina cut commission, and basically what I hear is like, oh, well, you're going to be outshopped, right? Yeah. If you go in at a full commission, you're going to be outshopped. Well, guess what, bitch? People don't shop for me.
Yeah.
They don't shop.
Yeah.
You know, like they hire me or they don't. It just is what it is. I'm not willing to cut my commission.
Yeah.
With the exception of bringing both parties, right? Like that's a conversation to be had. But I'm not cutting my commission. I believe in the work that I do. I believe in my value.
Yep.
And so I'm not going to cut it. So unless you can prove to me that you're doing more work for that higher commission, then you're not going to get my blessing on that.
Yep.
Once again, it's not my place. I'm not the listing agent. But don't sit there and ask for my opinion on it and, you know, not want to hear the answer. So
no, that dude,
it is what it is.
That dude, by the way, he was talking to Siegel, because I work out in the morning with Siegel now.
Yep.
And he was talking to Siegel. I don't know if it was over the phone or on FaceTime or something. And basically said he was moving back here. And Siegel's like, "Oh man, you should link up with the Hamiltons." And he's like, "Bro, I'm already way way ahead of you or whatever. There's no other option." And he's like, I remember on one of our videos or something, he had commented, he said "goat" or something like so I mean, he knows a lot of people. He does a really good job. He's a great promoter. I think that's what he does, is he does like talent management and stuff, as well as like construction and whatnot. But I mean, good dude. But yeah, like, what is the value add that the listing agent's bringing to warrant that additional 0.25% that he's taking from the other person, the buyer's agent, who's probably going to do more work? It's like me, for example. I told you my clients had called their son's friend or whatever and said, "Hey, we chose Anthony." Well, that dude was pissed. He texted me this morning, that kid did, and asked if the house sold. And he said, I just got a buyer for the house. And I'm like, bull fucking shit, dude. No, you didn't. You just want to see if I actually did the job, so you could either laugh or you can say, "Oh, fuck," you know?
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that is I know for a fact if really anybody else got that job, got that listing, the offer that came in, they would have said, "Oh, sorry, 280 was, you know, this lower price. That's all you get," you know?
Right.
Instead of countering back and saying, "Hey, 300 because we're taking the risk," like,
right.
You know, and I got that, and I guarantee you most other agents probably would not have.
Right.
And my sellers thought that we were shit out of luck because we had no other offers to escalate it. I said, we're not going based on an escalation. We're going based on the risk. And so I'm not providing offers to escalate it. We're not saying that. We're saying, "Hey, you're taking a risk by accepting this one." Yeah. And that's what we're going to use to leverage up the price. And it worked. But not many other agents would do that or even have the balls to do that, you know?
Right.
Especially I feel like this kid, but this kid's like, "Oh man, doing great on this other team or whatever. I've done 25 deals with her." And I'm like, "Bro, put that out on social media. Like, put that out." Like, well, I don't understand.
Yeah, but also like 25 deals. Cool. You got paid what, $30 per deal?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and
like
I think some of them maybe he got commission. I think some of them maybe he got like a 10%. If he showed the client, he would get like a 10%. But it's like, okay, you're making $200 per deal.
Right.
You just made what? 25K, or no, not 25K. What? Say $500 per deal. What is that?
$5,000.
Yeah, like $5,000. Like, bro, that's not your business, man. Like, and even if it's not your business, leverage that on social media, like we told you fucking 3 years ago when you got into the business to do.
Yeah.
And let people know that you're fucking working, because people don't think you're working. People don't think you're doing shit, which is why you didn't get these clients. You know? It's like, it's like fucking just work. Just do something and show that you're doing it. It doesn't take much, you know?
If you document the process and you talk about it and you give your genuine, authentic self and thoughts,
Yeah.
people will gravitate toward it.
Yeah.
And if you sit there and you be quiet and you only regurgitate what the rest of America is regurgitating, no one's going to see value in that.
Yep.
Which is why, you know, we don't have to interview.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
never.
There's an argument to be made that you might get less business and all of this stuff. Yeah, cool. But guess what? We fucking love our clients. They love us.
Yep.
We knock it out of the park, and they turn into advocates.
Yep.
They refer us. So at the end of the day, like, you can do your fucking 500 transactions. That's awesome. Right? But I bet you maybe 10 of those 500 are referring you, if that.
Right.
If that.
Yeah.
100% of all of our transactions, we get referred.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. And honestly, like, I don't need to work nearly as hard to get those transactions as 99.9% of all agents out there. So,
and the way you do work is a lot more fun. It's a lot
more fun, and it's you know,
better for lifestyle too.
Cohesive with my lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, like I get to do what the fuck I want to do.
Well, it's way more integrated. Whereas everybody's like work-life balance, right? It's like, how about work-life like you can do work-life integration. That can work too.
Yeah.
Where you get a second, you have to take a call or whatever, step out, take a call, and then go back to playing with Charlie. You know?
There's no such thing as balance in life in general. No such thing, because even if you did the math on your 4-day a week, 9 to 5 job or 9 to 6 job or whatever it is, you are not balancing out those hours with your family, because you have to take into consideration sleeping too.
Well, and so sleeping in the hours, like the period, the periods of the hours that you work, right? So you work during the daytime. When are your kids, I mean, awake and playing when they're young? Mm-hmm. The daytime. Yeah. Normally before 7:30 or 8 o'clock or whenever their bedtime is. You get home at 6 p.m., you eat dinner, you give them a bath and put them to bed. There's no playtime there. There's really no social engagement there. That's not balanced to me. So, like, yeah, you get 40 hours in the office, but like, that's not balanced.
Right. And when you get 3 days off at the end of the week or whatever, you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you have a good schedule. Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, you get 3 out of 7 days.
Yeah.
Or no, 3 out of 7 days with your family versus the 4 that you put in at work. So that's not balanced.
No, and
right, like,
when you think about it this way though, that I'm about to say, then you'll be like, shit, that's not balanced. Is you work 50 weeks out of the year for 2 weeks of vacation.
Yep.
So you got 50 weeks of work versus 2 off, right?
Yep.
That's
or 48 and 4 at the most.
At the most, and that is, I mean, still, that's super unbalanced. So there is no balance. There's no work-life balance. You have to be able to integrate it the best that you can. And, you know, that does mean, you know, for us in real estate or in business, it means documenting while you're doing it and stuff, which is something I'm bad at. You know, you're doing a little bit better at it now, but historically, like, we haven't been great at the documentation process, but we've done enough where people still know who we are more than even people who are doing a lot more business. Yep. And that kind of stuff catches up, because then you get the people who might be older. They saw you, they continue to see you, they continue to watch you, but they're not ready to buy or sell yet. But then when they do, they saw a video from 5 years ago pop up in, you know, what do you call it? Like, on this day 5 years ago or whatever, right? On Facebook, memories or whatever. They see something like that, and then they're like, oh, you know, we're coming up on time. Let's call Anthony or Avery or whoever, Joe, and let's get started on the process. You know, it's not always going to come from right now, which is what people need to understand, but it's the work that you do now that it's planting the seeds in people's heads. And
when it's evergreen, I mean,
well, right. The YouTube is, especially when it's evergreen, you know, our videos, our Canandaigua vlog and Geneva vlog are still coming up now. People are like, oh my God, I saw your Canandaigua vlog and I loved the scene when the kid fell off the bike or whatever, like on the building. And someone just called me, the Samoltowski.
I remember that.
Remember we
Oh yeah. Okay.
RV&E or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody just called. They moved from Florida and they're trying to buy up here. I don't think they'll be able to, but they're trying to buy. And she was like acting like I'm a fucking celebrity. And she's like, does your wife like think it's cool? And I'm like, she would probably roll her eyes. Like she'd probably laugh and roll her eyes at you, like saying I'm a celebrity or something. But I mean, it's cool though. But anyway, we got to get wrapping this up. We're over an hour and a half now. So got some more stuff I got to do. But next episode, I think we're going to try and get Josh on here. And we're going to try and make it like more of a regular thing, planned for at least once a week. I think that would be good. I think that's a good manageable kind of schedule. And if we can just keep the additional appointments out of the way, Medicare, you know, out of the way, then we should be okay. But as long as we plan effectively, it should be good. But I mean, I'm excited for where this podcast is going to go because it's something that, I mean, we've always been meaning to get going. Obviously, it's a non-income producing channel right now. The idea is to make it income producing, but we just got to be more consistent with it and actually get more up on YouTube for things to be searched. And podcasts don't have a great searchability, but we'll get there. Hopefully adding a third co-host type deal or guest, we can get it going a little bit more. But do you have any final rounds, saved rounds, anything? No,
I guess the only final round would be, you know, make sure that you're being true to yourself, make sure you're being unique, and don't be afraid to step away from the crowd. You know, Sal Frisella says, you know, speak your truth, speak the truth, even if it makes your voice shake.
Yep.
And that's biggest factor, I think, in just authenticity is just not being afraid to step out from the crowd and say something different or do something different. It just is what it is, and it makes you unique and that much more valuable.
No matter how polarizing too, right? Like a lot of the stuff that we've said in the past have been polarizing. And the best thing that it does for you, honestly, is it detracts the people that you're not going to work with, right? It separates them instantly, so you don't have to waste your time scrubbing through the people you want to work with and don't want to work with. You know, like let's be real. If you've got purple hair, I'm probably not the best fit for you. I know instantly we're not going to get along. You know,
right?
There's a comedy skit about that, but it's true. Like, great. Thanks for pointing out to me that you and I will absolutely not get along. Like,
makes my job easier.
We already know that we will disagree on virtually nothing. So, like, thanks for making it
by
easy.
the way, it's not, for everyone listening, it's not the hair that means anything. It's the general population that wears it.
Yeah, and more so, like, I'm speaking like to the analogy of it. Like, you can apply that right to a lot of different things. Use your imagination, I guess. But yeah, like a comedian said that, and but it's true. Like, it's true, you know. So, but anyway, guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. We don't necessarily say it, but we will steal it from Real AF. Don't be a hoe, share the show. And until the next podcast, Legion of Impact out.
See ya.
Bye.